Welcome, everybody, to Night of the Nerdy Laser Podcast, episode 141. I am your host, as always, Richard. There will be no leftovers because I will eat them all. Yule?
And I'll pass on most of the food, Jeff Lown.
Yeah, unless we put you outside to graze on some grass. Jeff is not eating.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, seriously, when he stayed with me, like 14 years ago now, because he'll never come back. And it was like peanut butter and that was
Almond
it, I
milk.
think.
Yeah.
Almond milk, yeah. That I had to throw that
And
out
then
when you
coffee.
asked.
Just a bunch of coffee.
Do you still drink coffee? Didn't you get off the coffee?
I kicked it for like a week. But man,
You're like,
why take away the only joy I had in my life?
Well, speaking of food, we are talking about Thanksgiving, but not the holiday, the 2023 horror slasher from Mr. Eli Roth, based on a fake trailer from 2007 from Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez's Grindhouse.
Yes.
And this is the third movie that has been taken from that fake trailer segment of Grindhouse, right?
Yeah.
So we had Machete.
Yep.
Go ahead.
We had Hobo with the Shotgun.
Never seen it.
So, but that's one of them. So that was the trailer for that one was only on the Canadian release of the film, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I mean, I don't remember seeing it. So.
And then we have this one. So we're just waiting for Don't from
Ty West.
No, that was the Shaun of the Dead guy.
Oh yeah. Edgar Wright.
Edgar Wright. And then we Werewolf Women of the SS, which was Rob Zombie, and
we'll never get that.
Oh my god, if we got it. If we got it.
I mean, he's rich enough, right? Couldn't he do something? Couldn't he do like not even a full-length movie? Just do like he'll do a Kickstarter.
And Nicolas Cage as Fu Manchu.
Was he in that?
Nicolas Cage, yeah, he was Fu Manchu.
It's been a while since I've seen it.
I meant to watch through all those before we recorded, but they're stuck in my head anyway most of the time. Don't.
Yeah, that's a great trailer. So we are on the road to FrankenCon.
Yeah, we sure are.
That is why we are talking about Thanksgiving, because FrankenCon is a horror con that I and Mr. Corey Keelan from Spooky Dudes put together, and we are in our third year, and we have a cast reunion of Thanksgiving. We have Mr. Alex Armbruster, who plays John Carver. We have Gabriel Davenport, who plays Scuba, probably my favorite character in the movie. And he's never done a con before. And we have Mr. Ty Olsson, who you probably know from 1,000 other things, who played Mitch in Thanksgiving. But he's also was in 10 episodes of Supernatural, 10 episodes of The 100, X-Men 2. Mm-hmm. You've seen it, right, Jeff?
I have seen it.
So Mystique gets the bodyguard in the nightclub and injects iron into him. That's Ty Olsson. And then Magneto pulls the iron out of him and, of course, does the escape. Probably the greatest scene in any X-Men movie, barring Nightcrawler in the White House, is pretty badass. But they're both from part 2. So
yeah, I would say the end scene of Logan's pretty good. Not the last end, but when they're running.
Okay, so I don't really count those.
Why? Because it was so much better.
I don't really remember Logan at all. I was just, it kind of threw me off, just all the cussing and I mean, fuck, I cuss on this podcast, so it's not like I'm anti-cussing, but there's a time and place. It's almost like your reverend, getting up in front of you in church, just fucking cussing. It's like, it's just not normal, really.
Yeah.
But I never read The Old Man Logan, so, I mean, I have nothing to base that on other than it just felt weird. And I like X-Men more than I do like Wolverine. So,
yeah. Speaking of X-Men, at the time of this recording, X-Men 97 came out. Have you been watching that at all?
I haven't. I know the comic came out as well. It's like a prequel to the cartoon. I think I'm gonna give it a shot, but I think I'm gonna go back and watch like the last 2 episodes, maybe.
Of the original?
Yeah,
I started at the beginning a couple days ago again.
I've tried to
Sentinel
watch
got
it
his arm
before.
ripped
It's
off.
just so long. It's like the Spider-Man cartoon. Like I want to rewatch those, but and they're great. They're still good. I mean, but I can't. I like every once in a while I'll just put on an episode of Batman the Animated Series and just
Yeah.
watch one episode. I just don't have time to sit around and binge an entire series.
I understand that totally because I got 2 episodes through this and I was like, what am I doing here?
You got Night of the Sentinels down, and you were like,
Yeah.
"I'm good."
I was like, I think that's a good enough, like, bring back to let me know what's going on in 97. But that's
Well,
the thing, those cartoons from the 90s they were so good. Like that, Batman the Animated Series, the Spider-Man one, Superman
Superman.
was good.
Superman was great.
And I mean the cartoons from
Freakazoid. Do you remember
I do
Freakazoid?
remember
So
Freakazoid.
good. I have
Yeah.
it on DVD.
Really?
Mhm.
That's awesome. Yeah, that was like the prime cartoon. I mean, we had Transformers around that time, a little earlier probably, right?
Boy, Transformers is red hot right now in the comic book world.
Oh, is it?
Oh yeah,
Was that one of the one Kirkman you said brought back?
yep, they've rebooted it through Skybound, and so Kirkman is kind of over this whole world. I mean, of Transformers and GI Joe, and so you've got a comic called Void Rivals, which I just bought the trade paperback, so I'm excited to read that. And then you've got Transformers, and then you have GI Joe, a Real American Hero, that is on like issue 305, and it's written by Larry Hama still from. I mean, he did the one in the 80s. It's continually been him.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then for the new GI Joe, you have right now they're doing limited series, so you have Duke and Cobra Commander, and they're each 5 issues long. And then when those are over, we've got I think Scarlet, and I know Destro, but I think Scarlet is the other one.
That seems like a whole lot of moving parts.
It is, but you can kind of not read all of it. Like I'm not reading Transformers, I'm not reading Void Rivals, and I mean Duke and Cobra Commander are pretty good. Like I can follow them.
What's the one you said you got the trade back of just now?
Void Rivals.
Void Rivals.
And that's supposed to be like both of, I don't really know what it is, to be honest, but that's where GI Joe and Transformers kind of started in this new world.
More Than Meets the Eye by Robert Kirkman. I had to look it up. You piqued my interest. Thanks a lot.
I mean,
I'm $15 less rich now.
You're welcome. All right, so that is FrankenCon. You can go to frankencontn.com. So for the next 4 or 5 episodes, we'll be doing the road to FrankenCon, and tonight starts Thanksgiving. So first, we'll do a little show and tell because I've got a lot here, Jeff.
All right. Well, I didn't bring anything, so I'm glad you're carrying
I've got
this.
enough. First off, we'll start with a Blu-ray for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So I have the slip. So do you care about store slips?
No, I don't even care about good ones anymore, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, I care about good ones, but there's not many anymore.
Did you give to the Vinegar Syndrome April Fool's slip this year? It was $25.
What was it? I didn't know.
It just said vote for OCN like distribution or something, and it'll be every year they do that fake thing. People give money, and that goes towards a fancy slipcover. They did it for what did they do it for last year? The Fatal Games was last year's. Then they did it for Biozombie, I think it was the year prior, and then there was
that one is cool.
One other one before that, but I didn't do it this year because I'm tired of buying movies for the most part. I'm just trying to watch what I have and kind of thin it out. But speaking of slips, I saw that Severin released a couple with their last announcement prior to the Clones of Bruce Lee or whatever box set, because I want that. That looks cool. But they did Kathy's Curse on 4K, but they did like a throwback box where it's kind of a thicker gold box, and the Kathy on the cover of the box, her eyes light up, so it has like built-in LED lights on the slip cover. So I'm like, wow, it's pretty interesting what they're doing with stuff these days.
I mean, that's kind of like that light box for the VHS degosser thing from Vinegar Syndrome. They're just doing something different and things. So
it's cool, but like, I mean, I don't care. Oh, in the end, at the end of the day. Sorry about interrupting your show and tell.
Yeah, how dare you?
How dare I?
NECA Toonie Terror, John Carver.
I need that. That's the only line of stuff I really enjoy anymore is my Toonie
Pretty
Terror.
great. It comes with a decapitated turkey head. Spoiler. The window box John Carver from NECA.
So that's more in line with the like creep show one they did, and a couple of
and it's cloth. Ones. So yeah, the he has cloth on.
And then they have like a premium one with the door on it, and I'm assuming you're going to show it.
Don't be spoiling my shit, Jeff. And yeah, and then so they have the ultimate John Carver that is fucking loaded, man. I mean, this damn thing, which these lights are wreaking havoc, but I mean, the amount of, I mean, so there's two other masks, there's 5 hands, there's a pistol, a rifle, a sledgehammer, an axe, 2 knives, that kitchen tenderizer thing.
Oh, and
I think that's it.
I want to talk. We'll talk. I want to mention that.
But that's crazy. That's a lot of accessories, so that's cool. So I think that's all of them. I actually forgot I got the cloth one, so that's kind of fun.
Was that the one that you didn't know that was going to come in on time or whatever?
Yeah, so I actually have two Toonie Terrors and 2 Ultimate John Carvers.
Give me your PayPal. I'll just buy one from you.
No, you have to come fucking get it.
Just spend $800 to come get that $15 toy.
Yeah, and join FrankenCon. Jesus, man. So yeah, that was my little show and tell. Before we get going here for Thanksgiving, I just wanted to bring up something kind of a downer. So I collect comics. I collect pretty much everything. And there's a comic that I've loved for a while called Red Room. It's got 3 series out. It's Red Room Trigger Warnings, and Red Room Crypto Killers, and by artist Ed Pisker. And if you're watching on YouTube, I'm showing some of the art there. I just really like it. The art is really dirty and gritty, and the tagline is "Murder on the Dark Web for Fun and Profit." So, I mean, all the artwork is just kind of dirty and gritty, and I mean, there's nudity and all sorts of stuff. But I really dig the artwork. I really like it. I don't know that I have every issue. I doubt I do, but I have a lot of the issues, including some variants. This is my favorite variant. Do you know what this is referencing, Jeff?
Colors look familiar. It's Marvel, it seems like.
No, it's so it's Rob Liefeld's Youngblood.
Oh, really?
So this was the first. This, if you look up Youngblood #1, it'll look like this, all the poses and everything. So I always like that one.
The orange background and the blue and yellow lettering looks like that that book about Marvel's, the beginning of Marvel. I can't remember the name of it, but the book about like Stan Lee and all that stuff.
Oh. So unfortunately, Ed Pisker took his own life on Monday, I believe. I won't go into details. There's enough online. I mean, it's kind of sad. On social, he left a letter addressing the whole thing. I find it heartbreaking. It sucks. He was only 41. He did a YouTube show on comic books called Cartoonist Kayfabe, which I guess the channel is still up. I'm not really sure. He did it with his friend Jeff Jim Rugg. So some shit went down. Like I said, I'm not going to get into it. I read his letter. I found it heartbreaking. It sucks. Go check out Red Room if you like some weird art and you like grungy stuff, because it'll give you the warm feelies. It just sucks that in this day and age, like, it does make me think. Like, I never really attack anybody or anything on Facebook or anything, but it does make me think that, words have consequences and people should kind of realize that.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of what happened, because I don't know the situation, but bullying is bullying. It could be online, it could be to kids, it could be to adults. Like, it sounds kind of
Yeah, I mean,
people just constantly bombarding you. It's
yeah, and just stay, don't leave your friends when they need you. At least be there on a friendship level. But anyway, that's it. That's all I really wanted to say. Don't want to bring the show down too much, but he was somebody I was very interested in getting to FrankenCon. Actually, I contacted him after the first FrankenCon, and he got back to me and was just like, cool. And then I kept contacting him, and he just responded with like kind of non-answers, but was communicating with me. And then right before Bride, not right before, but when I started doing Bride, or when I started doing this one for this year for FrankenCon 2024, I contacted him, and he responded and said, it sounds awesome, but he was concentrating on other things. And so at least he, it's cool that he contacted me back. But he was somebody I was very interested in trying to bring FrankenCon. So sucks. So anyway, we'll go on with our stupid little podcast here that hopefully brings you all joy. And if it does, you can do what, Jeff?
They could go over to Spotify or Apple Podcast and give us a rating and review. It's free and it helps us out a ton, and we'd appreciate it.
If you're not following the podcast,
well, they could do that too. Yeah, do that.
Please hit that follow button that subscribes you to the podcast, and every time we do a new one, which is every single week, you'll get a little notification saying to please listen to us, and you'll see little tears on our faces.
Well, for one thing, it is consistent, so
that's true.
Even if it's maybe a day late every once in a while, you still get a weekly podcast from us.
That is true.
Some big companies don't do that. Big sponsored companies won't even do that. So
you can also email us at nightofthenerdylazar@gmail.com with any comments, questions, or recommendations for movies. I saw Thanksgiving last year in the theater. Jeff doesn't have a theater in the town of Pueblo, so he never goes. So Jeff saw it this week, right?
Yeah, I just watched it.
I watched it again for the second time. I should say that this is going to be spoiler free. We're going to try to do a spoiler free from now on. We'll always do warnings if we do spoilers. And we're also going to stop with the kind of breakdown format that you might be used to. Just kind of switch things up a bit and make the show a little easier to follow and just listen to, and give you some news and talk about bullshit like we normally do, and then just talk about the movie, what we liked and didn't like, and what was cool, not cool, stuff like that. Basically, the Thanksgiving movie, if you watch the trailer in Grindhouse and then watch this movie, you're going to be a little disappointed for the simple fact that the Grindhouse trailer was trying to follow the format of Grindhouse. So it was kind of a 70s feel, right? And this one is more of a slick slasher in the now.
Right. But I thought, as far as capturing some of the main shots and things within the trailer and putting them into this, he did a really good job because he could have just not done any of that, really.
Really, I mean, in the long run, it doesn't really matter, but they did do basically everything. Um, so except, I mean, in Grindhouse, we got nudity.
That's true, but we didn't have a story so much. This one, we do have a story. So,
No,
and
but we got the shot that the nudity happened.
the cheerleader,
Yeah, the girl
yeah,
on the trampoline.
yeah,
We got that shot.
yeah. We did get that.
Uh, um, so premise is pretty easy. There's a family. He owns a Walmart type store,
Yeah.
and a Black Friday sale goes awry, and we cut to a year later, and somebody is out for revenge.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
And we don't really know. I mean, that's basically the plot of the movie, which I had no idea of the plot when I went to see it. I had no idea it was a Black Friday thing. So
Mm-hmm.
that was kind of cool for me. Um, I mean, that's what I like about if you can catch things in the theater, you might catch things that, um, you know, are kind of a surprise.
Yeah. Like I said, how he integrated a story into just a kind of a 2-minute made up trailer that was entertaining. But he did a good job. I liked how he shot that first part where it was almost two stories showing like the two sides of Thanksgiving, like the owner and then the workers. I think the comedy to horror to action to drama ratio is good. It's not too much in any direction, I don't think. Uh, for like an Eli Roth written and directed film, I don't think the dialogue was bad. I think he portrays the kind of high school, college kids as it captures them well. It's not like Cabin Fever where it's like, oh, dude, boner and all that stuff. You know what I mean? But like, it's not. He did good with it. It's not. I would say it's one of his better films, and I like all of his stuff. Honestly, I don't. I know a lot of people kind of bag on him for the same kind of reasons, like the dialogue, the over the top gore. Some people do. Other people love it for that. But like for me, I think that like the balance of this film is really good.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I agree with that. I mean, I love Hostel and Hostel 2. Uh, I like Green Inferno. Um, what else has he done? I
I,
even like that house with the clocks in the wall or whatever.
I saw that one in theaters. I liked it.
How the hell did you see that one in the theater?
It came to theaters here.
I know, but why? Why did you pick that one to go to?
I don't know. It was the middle of a day one day, and I was like, I'm gonna go see this movie. I was like, I like Eli Roth. I'd like to see what he did with that. Oh, and
It's kind of a kids film.
yeah, it kind of was. Reminded me of like Goosebumps, the new Goosebump movies, and Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Kind of like a gateway horror,
Yeah,
maybe tamed down a little bit. And I didn't even think his Death Wish remake was that bad. I thought it was
I didn't
decent.
see it.
Oh, yeah. For what it was, it's fine. So I've seen
So
Inferno in theaters too.
for a mainstream movie, I feel like this movie is pretty gory. But most Eli Roth movies, I guess, are. But this one kind of caught me off guard. I didn't expect it to be as gory, and I certainly didn't expect the kitchen scene at the end.
Yeah,
I mean that there was a lot. Yeah, there was a lot that I would not think would pass from a studio.
I kind of feel like that might have been like one thing that held it up in the past, where like he was like, people want this, but it's got to be this way, gore and all this, and studios were probably like, it's just a little too much right now. We're kind of out of the whole gore phase. It's more this phase, and then as more time passed, he was probably like, people still want this movie, but I'm gonna make it my way, and the gore has to be there because that's what made the trailer and my movies what they are. And they were just like, all right, do it, and it was successful. right? As far as like box office and stuff goes.
Yeah, I mean, they've already greenlit a sequel to be out in 2025.
There we go. Yeah. So I mean, let's take a look here. I don't know if it's going to tell us box office on IMDb because they're hit or miss with that kind of thing. Oh, here we go. So around a $15 million budget, opened to 10.4 essentially, grossed 31. So it doubled its money here and then tripled it worldwide. So it was successful.
And it's on Netflix, so I don't know what the thing is there. But here, you want to hear bullshit?
You told me this. We kind of talked about it, but yeah, go ahead.
This is bullshit. This is where streaming is going to get to high levels of bullshit. So, like, we get Netflix through T-Mobile.
Mhm.
And we get commercials. Fine, I don't care. I don't care about commercials. I don't care if streaming goes to commercials. Cable was supposed to be commercial free in the beginning too. That does not work. It just doesn't work. People need sponsors, commercials, all that stuff. But but now I was like, I mean, I own Thanksgiving and I had it on digital, but I was like, I was going to download it. We were going on a cruise, and I was going to download it on Netflix so I could just watch it that way. And with the free version from a mobile provider, it picks movies that you can't watch. And
Blackouts,
Thanksgiving was one of
essentially.
them. Yeah, blackouts. Yeah, like football. Bullshit is what it is. And speaking of sponsors, we couldn't go anywhere either if it wasn't for
Our good buddy Jason down at the dungeon.
Down at the Dungeon right here in Maryville, Tennessee. You can go visit him on East Broadway at the roundabout. Find Southland Books and go downstairs, drive around to the back of the building, and you'll see the dungeon there. So he's got all sorts of physical media. He's got Blu-rays, DVDs, VHS, laser discs, vinyl records. There's even a Godfather beta floating around down there. He's got video games, systems. If you need to show your kids how awesome video games used to be, you can go buy a Genesis and Splatterhouse maybe, and show them that way. So just find him on Instagram at Southland_Dungeon. That's Southland_Dungeon on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. And tell them Night of the Nerdy Laser sent you. If you can't make it in person, just follow him on Instagram, and you'll see everything he's got. He posts pictures of. If you like something, just message him, and you can get it shipped to you once you pay the piper. If you're interested in Thanksgiving and you don't have a copy yet, I would suggest to order it from Jason. He's got a few copies in the store, so he gets new stuff and all that boutique goodness that you like from Vinegar Syndrome and Severin. So lots of good stuff in there. Visual Vengeance stuff is there. So anything your heart can imagine, he can probably get for you. So check him out, and we appreciate him. So we get the incident on Black Friday, and it shoots forward a year later. And we'll go with some kills, but what are some things that you liked about this movie?
Like I said, I like the story, honestly. I wasn't sure like what time frame the movie was going to be set in, but I like the use of like modern technology and stuff and how they did that and kind of the reasons of everything happening and all that. It had that small town feel to it, that kind of northeast kind of town feel and all that kind
of stuff.
In the car, Boston. I don't want to spoil scenes, but there's a table saw scene that I thought was really cool, and
came out of nowhere.
It's one of the like gorier ones, and I was like, whoa.
Actually, I forgot about it.
Yeah,
like I forgot about it, and I was watching it today. I was like, or yesterday, and I was like, oh shit, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was a good one. There's a couple other kind of unique kind of kills, and I thought that was cool. I mean, it didn't feel like a rehash of like other horror movies in the past or current. Like it all kind of felt pretty fresh.
Yeah,
I like our villain's design too. I mean, that's probably my favorite part.
I love John Carver. Like I
Obviously, you have
love the
46,
mask and the design. I mean,
46
I should.
toys.
I've
I
got
don't
like
know why you don't
16
have the
action
mask,
figures from.
like an actual mask. You need to find one.
I know, I do. Um, Alex is going to bring the costume to
Oh,
FrankenCon.
that's cool.
Yeah, and we're doing in costume photo ops, so
Nice.
that's pretty rad. Um, the mask is my favorite part. And I love the fact that later on it gets burned and we get kind of another mask, you
Yeah.
know. It's just I just thought it was a really cool concept, and I like Alex's portrayal. So there is something I want to ask Alex when I meet him. I have heard that like Alex is a stuntman, so he's John Carver in the costume, and I really like the way he moves, and I just like the actions that happen with him, and just the way it's kind of like Kane Hodder as Jason. He has a certain movement. People like that. Other Jasons have certain movements, and people like that. But I really like this one because he's kind of stiff, but kind of normal too. Like, and he's skinny. So, but one thing that I have read, there's a scene in the kitchen where he's cooking. Let's
Hmm.
say
Okay.
I've heard that that's an actual chef
Maybe that's interesting.
because they want, but that's just what I read. I don't know. So I'm gonna ask him though.
Yeah, that's interesting. I want to ask you this. It's not a spoiler or anything like that before we kind of wrap up on this one. How do you say you didn't watch a trailer or hadn't seen the movie before? Do you think what they do with the killer, before the reveal, do you think they do a good enough job like keeping it a mystery who it is, or were you like, oh, I know who it is?
No, I think they do a good job. I think the second time around, I think it was more obvious, but I'm stupid. I mean, when it comes to movies, like I'm just an idiot. I'm like, everybody who watches The Village are like, I had no, I knew exactly what was happening. I fucking had no clue.
People lie. They just
Well,
don't.
that too. They want to they don't want to seem stupid. So
It's like that's the point of the movie. You don't know who it is. You're watching it to find out. You don't need to be embarrassed about not knowing who it was. Like,
I
enjoy
think
the
I
ride.
think the movie does a good job of red herrings, right? It does
Yeah.
keep you on your toes, and so you could always say, "Oh, it's that person or that person or that person." But when I first saw the movie, I actually didn't like the reveal,
Oh.
but upon rewatch, I sort of like it. So I think I'll be okay with that the more times I see it.
Hmm.
Um, but it's fine. Nobody else really had an issue with it, so I guess that's why I've kind of just been like, okay, well, I guess everybody else is okay with it. It
Falling in
just got a
line.
little convoluted, not convoluted, but like I don't know, because the person was so nice that I don't know. It is what it is. It didn't ruin the movie for me
Right.
when I saw it in the theater. I mean, honestly, to me, who the killer isn't that important.
It really
Like
isn't.
I'm there for the kills. I'm there for Eli Roth. Like I trust Eli Roth enough to watch his movies, and I'm not the biggest Cabin Fever fan. I have tried to watch it a few times. I don't know what it is about that movie, but I'm just not the biggest fan of it.
That kid
But
doing kung fu at the cabin.
I guess I don't really even remember any of it, to be honest. And I've only seen it twice, but I watched it again like 10 years later, and I still didn't like it. So
After watching this, I decided once I'm caught up on all the stuff we're recording for, that I'm going back through his like catalog of stuff. So I'm on to Cabin Fever. The one I want to see though, that wasn't his, but he produced, was the remake. That's basically just Cabin Fever again.
oh yeah,
They
I
did in
heard
like
about it.
2014 or something like that, 2016. I think
Yeah.
Scream Factory put out the Blu-ray, but I kind of want to see the comparison of that, and then I kind of want to go back to Patient Zero, and I want to watch Cabin Fever 2. Even though the one that Ty West did, he said he like disowned it because there was so much interference from the studio. But I think it's kind of like an interesting.
Did Joe Lynch do one, or was it just Ty West?
I think it was Ty West. I don't know who did Patient. I don't remember who. Ty West did one of them. I don't know who did the other one that wasn't Eli Roth. And then I also want to go to Hostel 3, which is that really weird, like straight to video.
God, Vegas why do that? Don't do that.
Before, but I'm going to go through his catalog.
No, Jeff, I'm going to have to fly to Pueblo and fucking punch you in the face so you don't watch that movie.
Oh, all right. Well, at least I'll get
to see it. It's Fear Factor. It's just Fear Factor bullshit.
It really is. It really
is. Like, Hostel was one of those movies that could have had a good life on video. And they brought it to the States, and I thought that was awesome. I thought it was being in Las Vegas was cool. And
it could have been a mini-series, honestly.
It was so cheap, like the way the kills were not inventive, and it really felt like Fear Factor a couple times, man. And I just, I did not like it. Oof.
I don't know what it is about movies like that like kind of like straight to video, like second or third sequel, kind of like Quarantine 2, how it was a little bit different. And I just, for some reason, I love those movies. I don't know why.
I like Quarantine 2.
Oh, yeah, well, it's not bad. I'm going to go watch Quarantine 2 just because I mentioned it.
Yeah, so was there anything you disliked about it? There is one thing I majorly disliked about it.
I'm trying to think. I mean, I waited a long time to watch this movie, and I avoided spoilers. I kind of put it in my mind that this film didn't exist, and then you're like, hey, we're recording. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Oh yeah, that movie. But first viewing, no. I think going back, I'd probably nitpick a little bit more, but like, I don't think I hated anything really that happened.
Well, I did. You want to know what it was?
I'm sure you did. What is it?
What does that mean?
You're Richard. You could always find something to hate.
Sure. The parade scene at the end, the John Carver is in a different costume.
Oh, yeah.
And I felt like it was so out of place. Like, so fucking out of place.
Why did they do that? Because they, in the trailer,
I have no idea. I have no idea. Like, I mean, I thought it would have been cooler if they had a bunch of John Carvers.
Yeah.
Because it's like you have 30 John Carvers, and then you don't know which one it is.
Right. It's Scooby-Doo mix-up thing, kind of.
Yeah. But instead, I mean, we get a whole other costume that's stupid looking.
Check your Blu-ray real quick if it's still by you, and see if there's any extras with commentary from Eli Roth, because I'd be curious to see if you went back with commentary on, if it said anything about that decision.
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
It does have commentary with Eli, so it also has Massachusetts movies, Eli and Jeff's early films. So whenever that.
Oh wow, cool.
I'll never watch it.
See, I only got it on digital. Somebody had given me the code, so I don't have the physical on this one, oddly enough. And I would be curious to actually dive into the extras and commentary on this. I just like to see where he's coming from on stuff.
It's funny. The other day I was like, fuck, I'll just watch this DVD in my computer, and that way I can just have it in the living room, because it's so hard for me to watch like physical media right now.
Yeah.
My computer doesn't have a disk drive. The fuck?
Yeah. It's
a thing.
Almost like an Xbox that specifically plays discs.
Digital.
Out. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I say give this movie a watch. I think you'll like it. What do you get? How many turkeys out of 5 do you give this movie, Jeffrey?
This first one, I'm like right at almost a 4, but I'm going to stick with the 3.5 on it. I think it's a really fun movie. I think it's a cool story. And I said, balance and all that stuff kind of play a part in that decision.
Not bad. I give it a 4 because the second time watching through, I really, really liked it. I really picked up on some things that they were planting throughout the movie, and I just dig it. I dig kind of everything about it.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
yeah,
like I
I
said, I'm
I think
almost
the
there.
characters are really great. I love Scuba, who's kind of a final boy.
Kind of, yeah.
Um, and not to spoil it, but actually, this is one that I mean, there's so many people there's so many characters. We do get a lot that survive.
Yeah, we do, and I thought that was kind of cool because in slasher fashion, everybody but one or two people survive most of the time.
Now I'll say this: I'm just going to ruin the first part of this because it's in the trailers, and if you don't want to hear it, then skip forward 30 seconds or whatever. But the scene in the diner where he dunks that girl's face in the water and then throws her up against the freezer door is
Yeah,
fucking awesome.
yeah, that was cool. That
And
was
then what happens to her is even more awesome.
yeah,
Maybe
it's
not believable, but awesome.
yeah, yeah, good stuff.
So you give it a 3.5. I give it 4. Check it out. Like I said, if you need a copy, holler at our boy Jason down at the dungeon, and you can get a copy from him. Uh, this episode and the next few are sponsored also by FrankenCon. You can go to frankencontn.com and find out all the guests we have from Thanksgiving. We have uh, Scream Queens, Jeff, coming up. So this is a preview for next week. We have Linnea Quigley, Michelle Bauer, and Brink Stevens, all from Sorority Babes and Slimeball Bowl Rama, and
Nice.
Nightmare Sisters, which we're
Yep.
covering next week.
Yes, sir.
So I never saw Nightmare Sisters, never really even heard of it until um, Vinegar Syndrome released it.
Right.
So, so yeah, and I've watched it twice as well, and so we'll have thoughts on that movie.
Yeah, we
Me
will.
and
I
Jeff
have
may
some.
differ. But so you can meet 3 of the most famous scream queens. Also, Ginger Lynn Allen is going to be there from The Devil's Rejects and Murder Size and a bunch of movies other movies that you've probably seen. We also have Frank Saladino from Sleepaway Camp with a rare appearance. We have a Texas Chainsaw Massacre 50th anniversary reunion, all sorts of things. All of our guests are listed on the website right now, frankencontn.com. You can follow us on socials at frankencontn as well. And you can follow Night of the Nerdy Laser by using that name on Instagram and Facebook.
Yep.
We, I like this kind of new version of the show, even though it's kind of the same. If y'all liked it, email us. If y'all didn't like it, still email us. Let us know. And I still, I mean, we'll ignore the one we don't like, but whatever. You can do it anyway. But I kind of like the format of more chit chat at the beginning and then not spoiling the movie and just giving a brief synopsis of what we like and don't like. So until next time, what should they do, Jeff?
They need to keep it bloody.
Because somebody has to. Gobble gobble, motherfucker. Why wasn't I said like gobble gobble, motherfucker?
Because wasn't that Thanksgiving that says that?
Oh, probably.